The Stone Wars begin. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Season 2, Episode 1 of Dr. Stone, also known as Dr. Stone Stone Wars. I'm very excited for this. I really loved Season 1. Like, a lot more than I ever thought I would. Going into the first season, I liked it. Wow, I'm confusing myself here. Hold on. Going into the first season, I felt like I could like it. I felt like prior to watching it, it's something like, okay, maybe this could work out for me. Maybe this would be something I'd be interested in, but I'm not 100% sure. It's something where it's like, oh, I don't know. It feels like it could go either way for me. So I did a first impression of it, and I ended up really liking the first episode. I thought it was like surprisingly good. So we eventually got to the rest of the series, and as I'm watching, it's like, oh, no, this is really good. I'm really getting into the characters, I'm really getting into the story, and the science and the fun little moments of it were really selling it as well. Um, and as it went along, it started to change up things. It started to like kind of like mess with the status quo and what you expected the series to do. And I think it worked it really well. Like, it surprised me, like I said, by how well I ended up liking the series. And so it's been quite a bit of time since we last got to it, but I'm ready to get to season 2. And last we left off, we were about to have a war. We have our two sides with the Kingdom of Science and Sukasa's army, and it's about to come to a head. Things are really starting to get interesting. We have Taiju, and I can't remember the girl's name right now. But we have those two who are staying behind as spies in Sukasa's army. They're going to be coming back into play. And we have the Kingdom of Science, which has been expanded to include this village now that Senku has kind of... I don't know if I'd say unwillingly become the leader of, because there was intent to that. But he doesn't really want the leadership position exactly. He just wanted the village to kind of like work with him and join his side and help propel things back into the future to create all these scientific what's the word? To help him with the experiments and all these not discoveries. See, discoveries is coming to mind, but that's the wrong word. Like, because he's not discovering it, he's advancing it with the technology or lack thereof that he currently has in this world. So it's not, so discovery is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And so, yeah, we're about to like get ready to head to war. We have our sides. Even Gen has chosen to completely side with the Kingdom of Science at this point. Partially because he got cola from it, but hey. I think he also has just been won over by Senku. It's just... This is going to be interesting, because I feel like Sukasa's army and everything only has like the strongest, the best, the fittest, because that was kind of with what he was going about. He wanted specifically young people, no adults, and he wanted like the best of the best to kind of like fuel the future. While Senku is more like, we gotta save and protect everyone because that's just right. Senku has like a stronger moral compass in that regard. And yeah, some of that does come from science, for sure. But he's also just a good person. And Tsukasa, And I was making a big argument for this in season 1, and I still believe it. Tsukasa's not a bad person. He's doing bad things, but he genuinely has trauma and pain that was brought on to him from adults and everything from his past. He's doing what he thinks is right to help people because he sees adults as the enemy. Again, based on what happened in his past. He has good intent. Genuinely good intent, not just saying that his intent is good. But his execution of things and the way he's going about it all is wrong. And I very much believe he's going to get redeemed. Because it's making way too much of a point of that. Like, even Senku's basically said that. Even Senku's basically acknowledged Tsukasa as not being that bad of a person. In fact, I think early on in season 1, he even said he was a good person who was just doing bad things. I think that that Senku of anyone would want to save him rather than defeat him. You know what I mean? And Senku is definitely not someone for killing either, so that's not going to be his goal with this battle, with this war. I'm just wondering, like, this season is clearly named for the war, but how long is this going to go? I feel like the Stone Wars should probably only be the first half of the season. Because I feel like there should be obviously a split there just for different arcs. But also, I just don't feel like this should be going on too long. It doesn't feel like the kind of arc that needs to. But we'll see. Also to note, I know like the final season is like I think airing right now. I have been avoiding spoilers for that, obviously, and for other seasons that we haven't seen yet. So I don't know anything regarding that. I might have seen like a character design once or twice here or there, but I don't even remember them anyway, if I did. Um, but I know that's going on now. But I'm just gonna say we're not gonna be catching up like anytime soon, so it's just gonna be like take it as we go. I want to try and like get through it as quickly as possible, but there's a lot of other shows to get to still as well, so I can't promise anything regarding that. Um, I'm very interested to see like any new characters that are introduced and to see the same characters we've already been hanging out with get more screen time. I definitely want to see Taiju and Chrome. I was trying to think of his name for a second there. I want to see Taiju and Chrome meet. Because, like, Taiju is Senku's original best friend, and Chrome is, like, his new best friend. I want to see the meeting of the best friends. I want to see them interact, like, super badly. I think that would just be really interesting, because we know, like, Taiju's a big dummy, but he has an amazingly good heart. And we know Chrome is definitely smarter. Like, not quite as smart as Senku, but pretty damn smart. And he also has a very good heart. I think he and Taiju would get along really well. But I definitely want to see that interaction. And I definitely think we're going to get it. There's also the pink-haired girl who was like, I think she was like a friend or partner or something of the one guy who came and fought with them on the bridge. I can't remember like names at this moment, but there were those characters who were part of Tsukasa's army and everything as well. The pink-haired girl, I think like Senku gave her cotton candy or whatever it was. I think it was cotton candy. That he figured out how to make, and so it's like, okay, that's definitely set up for the future, because she was spying on them. She was watching them. And yeah, I think Senku made a cotton candy machine. We also had like Senku make a Christmas tree. But like one of the big things is we found out like a lot about like what happened after his father and the rest of the astronauts went into space, and what happened after they came down after the stone transformation along the world happened. They were for a time the only living, quote unquote, humans on Earth. They landed like I think just off of an island and had to get to it, and ended up living there for some time before they eventually just all passed from like disease and stuff that they just didn't have the cure for at that point because of how the world went. And plus they were kind of stuck on a remote island with no way of getting off. There's that problem too. Because at that point, the medicine and stuff did still exist. It wasn't thousands of years into the future like it currently is, but they had no way off. And Senku's father left a message for him, which Senku received, and it actually did get him emotional. Like, Senku actually did, like, get emotional, which is rare for him, but it makes sense. We know Senku looked up to his father, so hey. So I'm definitely interested to see more come from this. Because this village was also like founded by the father, wasn't it? If I remember right. So that's why it was named after Senku's last name, which I can't remember right now. But yeah, it's a really fascinating story, and I'm very excited to see more. So we're going to get into this and see what this episode has in store for us. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link in the description below to go to today's reaction, I want to take the moment to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 every day except Thursday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princessa Gaming channel. Every day of the week we have some awesome Let's Plays, we have streams, we have all kinds of great content. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's video. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, we have a plan. And that's what this episode is mainly about. A little bit of a recap of the first season, while also basically the preparation for the Stone Wars. We haven't really gotten the start of it yet, but it's setting it up. And so we have this plan with Senku and Gen, with using Lillian's voice recording as well as Gen's ability to impersonate her to at least a close enough degree, and playing all of that over the cell phones in order to trick the Tsukasa Empire into thinking that, you know, Tsukasa's entire ideals and everything are built on lies. That there are people still around in the world, that the world's not destroyed, etc., etc. And so it'll ruin their trust in him, which will cause the entire empire to fall apart. At least that's the plan. It's probably not going to go that smoothly for a number of reasons. And they add that with also the creation of freeze-dried space food, which will help them be able to fight, hopefully without any bloodshed and definitely without any killing, in the middle of the winter. Because it obviously gives them an advantage to be able to warm up and eat food in the middle of, you know, winter during a war and everything. It allows them to have something that the other side probably wouldn't as readily available. Gives them a bit of an advantage. So that in and of itself is also pretty interesting. We got the advantage from the space food. We got the plan set in motion that was formed by Gen and is now a three-person plan between him, Senku, and Chrome. They're engaging it with help from the rest of the village, though without their knowledge of what's actually going on. And Senku and Gen are fully prepared for everyone hating them for this, Chrome too, because they feel like this is such an underhanded, skeevy tactic that it's like everyone who's currently in the Tsukasa Empire, everyone who's currently in the Kingdom of Science are probably gonna look down on them quite a lot after this. But I don't know. I'm kind of like I kind of feel like that could be a big surprise. Like they might actually not. We'll see. We'll see. We get to see a little bit of the other characters here, like Ruri and Magma and the old chief and everything. But we don't get a huge amount of time with too many of them, which makes sense. We want to more reestablish our kind of main trio, I guess you can say now, with our two from the old world, with Senku and Gen, and then Chrome, who again is Senku's best friend from this time period. We got a little bit of Homura at the end, and it looks like from the whether that was the opening or the ending, either way, we're going to learn more about her. She seemed to have been a gymnast prior to the world's stonification, which we've kind of seen that she is very athletic, so I guess not really too huge of a surprise. But it is interesting to find out. It's kind of like with zombie media. It's like whenever I watch zombie media, I always wonder what was this zombie prior to becoming a zombie? What was their life in the world before? I always wonder that. And I've heard a lot of people like really surprised when I tell them that because it's like why are you wondering about the zombies? They're just zombies. It's like but they were people. They were living breathing people. Who were they? Where did they work? What was their passions? Like, what kind of a person were they? How can you not wonder about that? It's like, I don't get how people can't. But a lot of people, like, just view them as monsters. And the funny thing is, I've seen some zombie media, like the Telltale's The Walking Dead game, that has actually kind of touched on that to a degree. And not with like the zombies that like we see turn from who they were as people, but from the zombies they just randomly come across. It's like the games actually do touch on that, which is pretty great in my opinion. But yeah, it's like I'm kind of like I very much feel the same vibe here. It's like even though this is obviously not the same, it's not zombies or monsters or anything. They are just people waking up. I do wonder what they like all were like, what they all did back in the old world. We know Gen was kind of a charlatan. He was like this magician, showman kind of person, this mentalist who would put on these shows and try to impress people with his powers. And that he also like just really likes coke. But I like that. It's a detail about him that gives him more depth. We know what Senku was like. We know what Taiju and Yuzuriha were like. But I want to know about a lot of these others. Like we only have like a small understanding of what Tsukasa was. We know like he was like this big tough guy who everybody like kind of had these opinions about regarding his nickname and everything. But we also know about his past with I think it was his sister and how shitty that went down. And how like terrible that was and how it shaped his kind of current mindset. But it's like I want to know more about Hyogo, I believe it was, and I definitely want to know about Homura and other characters too. It's like we're introducing all these characters. It's like I want to know what they did and what they were like prior. I want more info on that. So yeah. Um, we also have some new characters show up in, again, either the intro or outro. It very much felt like an intro, but I mean, I've seen some outros that have that vibe, so I'm not 100%. We'll see next episode, obviously, but yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes, because we only got set up this time. We didn't really get too much to work off of, and again, we don't know how well everything's going to go in the first place. I still think that we should probably finish the Stone Wars themselves within the first half of the season. And then the second half maybe like focus on something else. Um that's my view on it. Because it's like it just feels like you don't need to like force this for too long. It's a plot line that really doesn't need to be like just slow. With these battles and these wars, we can get through them fairly quickly, I feel. Especially considering we're trying not to kill anyone or even hurt them if possible. So, yeah, that's my hope for this. I'm very excited. I really missed this series. Very happy to be back. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Dr. Stone Stone Wars? And just, as you could tell by the title, by the way, I think I said this in the pre-thoughts, but just to reiterate if I did, um, I am going to be referring to this as Dr. Stone Stone Wars, not as Dr. Stone Season 2. Well, I might refer to it as both, but I am going to mainly try to refer to this as Stone Wars because that's how it's officially referred to as. It's kind of like Symphogear. Like, you don't call Symphogear GX. You don't call it Symphogear Season 3. You call it Symphogear GX. It feels very much the same thing. This isn't... It is Season 2, but you don't call it that. You call it Dr. Stone Stone Wars. I want to call it that. But I might use Season 2 episode blah 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 so every so often. It's not that big of a deal either way. But I want to call it. I want to call it by the title that it officially goes by. So yeah. Like I said, tell me your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.